Hello everyone, welcome to today's first look. Now you may have noticed my name Yaz coming up on the screen, and I don't want you guys to confuse me with the latest bombshell in CASA AMOR, who's also called Yaz. I know we both look very similar, and you may be thinking, I just can't tell the difference between the two of them. Well, I'm the other one, and mine's got two Zs and not one. I find it amazing that in this season of Love Island, no one's thought about how confusing the names are getting. We've had Megan, we've still got Meg, so Meg and Megan. We've had Yasmin, who everyone calls Yaz, and now in CASA AMOR we have another Yaz. So, are we going to call Yasmin Yasmin now instead of Yaz? I don't know. But it's quite unusual to have two Yazes on a show. We're quite a rare breed, you know, so that's kind of good and bad at the same time. So I thought today we would focus on these CASA AMOR girls and who we think they might be suited to. Now this is actually quite a hard task to pull off. I've been going over their profiles, etc. It's not an easy game, this one, so hopefully you'll agree with some of my choices. You may not, you may think I've got it completely wrong, that's absolutely fine. Information in this video is correct at the time of recording this, and I hope I've got it all on the nose and all correct. As far as I can work out, guys, unless I've made a real error, there are 6 girls and 7 boys. I thought normally it would be like equal, so we'd have, you know, 7 girls, 7 boys, CASA AMOR. But we've got 6 girls, 7 boys from the villa, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, unless they're going to throw in a surprise one that we haven't seen yet, which they, of course, could do. But let's go through. Who are these girls? We know in tonight's episode, yes, of course, there'll be, you know, bits and pieces amongst the islanders about, you know, Harry and Helena and their time in the hideaway. Shakira will probably get very upset, all that kind of stuff. But really, the main drama we're all tuning in for tonight is CASA AMOR. So let's just look at these girls and see who we think is gonna be interested in them. Yeah, let's go. So we're gonna start with Andrada, or Andrada. I'm not quite sure how you say it. I'm sure she'll correct us when she's on the show. I've got some pictures of these girls up on the screen for you. So this is Andrada, however we're going to say it. Now listen, I looked at her and I thought, you know what? She looks a little bit like Meg. She looks a little bit like Meg. So maybe Dejon will go for her. Now bear with me on this. He says he doesn't have a type. But when he went to the sleepover, he was going for Caprice, who is also blonde and a bit-ish like Meg. Andrada's also blonde and a bit like Meg. And if you look in my past videos, you'll see there was that TikTok Dejon's ex-girlfriend did, and she was also blonde. So I'm wondering if, despite the fact he thinks he doesn't have a type, Dejon actually does. So he may go for Andrada. I mean, to be honest with you, the problem with Dejon is, if we take him by what he says, I don't have a type, I just like beautiful girls, then he's going to go for every single girl in there. So you can't really say, well, he's definitely going to go for this one or that one. But I think he may go for her. I just think that, you know, do you know what I mean? You know, the way sometimes people, you know, when they have an affair, I'm going way too deep into this, but you know, sometimes when people have an affair, like they're married and they have an affair, and you see the person they're having an affair with, and you think, well, that just looks like your wife. It looks like your wife maybe like a few years ago. So you basically just went for another woman who looks a bit like your wife. You get my point. So he may do that. He may just. So I think Andrada, maybe Dejon. Moving on to Emma. Now, as you know, who's Emma? Emma is, of course, Harry's ex-girlfriend. And I think it's highly likely Harry will work his way back to Emma, because that's often what happens in these cases. So I think Emma will definitely get some interest from Harry or Connor. Because when you look at Emma, she does have a lot of the qualities that I think Connor likes. If we look at his past girls, he's currently with Yasmin, he was with Tony, and, you know, I just think, yeah, possibly. I mean, you know, he was also with Billy Kiss, and of course, she looks nothing like Emma, but I'm not really sure what Connor was doing with Billy Kiss. He just made a complete pig's ear of that. But anyway, judging by the girls he's been with in the villa thus far, and was he with Shakira for a little while? Gosh, I'm getting confused already. Anyway, I think it's Connor may go for Emma as well as Harry. I actually covered Lucy in a video long before the show started, so she is one of the people who was in the pre-publicity who's actually made it to the final show. Lucy, again, I think, guys, I looked at her and I thought, she looks a little bit like Helena. So I think Harry may go for her. Just saying. Or Giorgio will go for her. I mean, Giorgio, let's be honest, Giorgio can do whatever he wants, because, you know, he's with Billy Kiss. I'm not really sure he wanted that, so I think he can just do whatever he wants. But I looked at her and I thought, yeah, I think Harry might make a beeline for Lucy, or certainly Giorgio will, or Ben. You know, again, because no one's in a firm couple, it's quite difficult to nail it down, isn't it? Lauren. I looked at Lauren and I thought, you know what, maybe Tommy. Maybe Tommy will go for Lauren, because she looks like a relatively straight down the middle, sensible girl. Maybe she's got a wild side, but you get my point. I thought maybe Tommy will go for her. I mean, of all the boys going into Casa, Tommy is probably the least likely who's going to go absolutely mad. He doesn't seem like that kind of person. Whether what he's got with Emily is strong enough, I'm not sure. I don't think it's anything major yet. So I think if he was going to go for a girl in there, he would probably go for Lauren. Rio! Again, not the easiest one, but then I thought, Harrison? Yeah? Is that the kind of girl that Harrison goes for? You know, he's been pretty much zoning in on Tony. He's trying to get Tony back, I think, in order to save his skin on Love Island. And Rio seems like the kind of girl Harrison might go for. Now again, Harrison has been fixated with Helena, so he could of course also make a beeline for Lucy. Or Andrada. You know, he could do, couldn't he? If he does like girls like Helena, blonde, etc., he may make a beeline for one of them too. But I did look at Rio and I thought, well, maybe Harrison. And Yaz, of course. Yaz, my namesake, who apparently found fame in X Factor. She was part of a group called Four of Diamonds. I'm not aware of this. I rarely watch X Factor because I don't really enjoy that sort of punishment. But, you know, nevertheless, she was on it. She seemed to do quite well. She's in the music industry. She DJs. I thought Giorgio or Ben might go for Yaz. I mean, just judging by past women, I think maybe. Now, that's my predictions, guys. Of course, it's all up in the air, isn't it? We don't actually know. But what are you hoping for from CASA AMOR? What are you really, really hoping for? Who are you hoping is going to get toppled, is what I'm basically trying to say. Because I know certain members of Dejon's family would rather he went with a different girl who isn't Meg. And I know that a lot of people on social media are getting rather fed up of Harry and Helena's behaviour. So I think those are the two prime couples who people want to see some movement in. But whether we will or we won't, again, will Dejon resist? It's going to be served up to him on a platter. Will he resist it? Or will he yield to temptation? You know, we haven't seen him do it yet, right? He's done all this great talking, but he hasn't acted on it. And that's what's got the girls frustrated. Whereas Harry, you get the impression that he certainly would and will, given the opportunity. But Dejon, no. And I always said earlier in one of my videos that I think one of the reasons why he's been so cautious is because of that live stream date that happened very early on in the season. Because he knows he's always being filmed. But now I think going into CASA AMOR, he knows he's being filmed, but he's also probably thinking, right, it's CASA AMOR, I'm this late into the season, so now's my only chance to do something that might rock the boat. And I hope he takes the risk. Not because I'm one of these evil people who says, well, I just don't want him to succeed with Meg, but just because it makes great TV, sorry. It does, doesn't it? I think he may yield, but then when he goes back, will he admit what he's done, or will he just try and get Meg back and play it safe? Just like Casey did. You remember when Casey, who was he with? Remember, he was all over that girl in CASA AMOR when he was originally on Love Island. I've forgotten her name now. That's not good. I shouldn't forget her name. And then when he got back, he just kicked her to the curb, and she was not happy about it. I'll try and find her name, because otherwise it's a bit... Cynthia! It was Cynthia, guys. Do you remember that? Casey with Cynthia, right? He had a massive fling with her in CASA AMOR, and then dumped her to get back with Claudia. So there you go. That could happen with Dejon, I reckon. He could have a fling with someone, and then recouple up with Meg, and try and pretend like nothing happened. I think Meg would then get angry, but still take him back. Don't know what would happen with Harry and Helena, or whether Harry would stick with Helena. We'll see. Thoughts below, please. Opinions below. Do you think I've got it on the nose? Am I far out? I don't know. But all I can say to you now is, happy CASA AMOR Sunday. I'll catch you later for the big fireworks. And I really hope there are some. And yeah, here we go. Goodbye.